Hi, here's an instruction on the key plate. This is a drawing that actually is more of a circle template drawing than anything else. You'll see how it works. It's relatively simple, and if your measurements are accurate, you can usually knock this one off in one class period. If you're really fast, you can even get your object lines darkened in and your border and title block all done and your borders darkened in. So here's what the drawing looks like. Now, it's in inches, but not with fractions. It uses decimals. So use your fraction decimal conversion chart if you don't know how to convert those. But they're relatively simple. 0.75 is 3/4 of an inch. 2.5 or 2.50 is 2.5 inches. 1.25 is 1 1/4. 0.38. 0.38 is rather interesting from the standpoint of conversion. When you look at the conversion chart, it's the only one that the numbers are basically the same for a fraction. So you have 0.38 and 3/8. Also, remember a 1/16 of an inch allows rounding. So if it was 0.37, it's still 3/8 of an inch. The other one, no, that's it. We've got all those 0.75, 0.5, 0.25. That's it. We're dealing with diameters and we're dealing also with radii. But we're going to be able to use a circle template. We don't have to use a compass on this at all. You're welcome to use a compass, but I don't know why you would want to on this. It'll look way better with the circle templates. Key plate. Okay, here we go. Let me zoom back in on the paper. I need to get my focus here with the pencil in there. I'm going to get out to where my borders are. I think I bumped the camera just slightly. Now I've pre-started by going corner to corner to find the center. Again, this should be kind of an automatic thing when you need to center a drawing. This is way more accurate than trying to measure it with a ruler. And this is how, say for instance, you've got incorrect framing in a home, in a structure, you would measure corner to corner because it'll tell you whether or not the stuff is plumb and square. So I'm going to go with making sure my T-square is bumped up on the edge, horizontal center line, and then I'm going to go with the vertical center line. Again, construction lines. I'm drawing a little bit dark here today, but that's so you can see it on the video. And I want to get rid of the X used to find the middle. That's why, again, you want to minimize that amount there that you do this. There's our midpoint. Again, you see I don't make a big giant big black dot, just make little marks. Now our key plate is a relatively simple drawing. The measurements are straightforward. What I am going to do is I'm going to try to set up initially where we're going to do centers for our circles on the left and right side of the drawing. So the overall length from center to center is 5 inches. So I'm going to set the ruler up to 2.5. I'm going to make a mark at 0 and at 5. Then for up and down, it's a total between the centers on the circles of 2.5. Now I'm going to go to 5 here, and I'm going to go excuse me, 1.25 inches, which is going to be 4 spaces past this mark. Remember, I started at 5. It's 1 inch plus 1/4 of an inch, and then up to 6, and then 1/4. Now this is going to give us the locations where we're going to be using our circle templates to create the corners of the drawing and all the circles on it. I'm going to draw a vertical center there, and I'm going to draw a horizontal or a vertical center here. Then at this mark, I'm going to draw with my T-square a horizontal center there, and at the same spot a horizontal center there, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go there. Now notice any little extra marks. Well, I'm going to redo that one right there because you can't see it too well. Now this gives me the locations of where all the circles are. I'm going to hit this one again, just to make it easier to see. Now, we have 4 circles in the corners. The diameters are 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to go with my 3/4. I'm going to line it up, and notice the circle templates are not always, the marks on them are not always square. This one's maybe okay, but I'm going to do a 3/4 inch diameter circle there. And I'm not using the T-square with this. I just line up the little marks with my center lines. That's why it's important to spend the time making the center lines. That's how people get out of alignment, by not doing that. Excuse me. We go here, and we go here. Now, we also have a channel in the middle here that's a 3/4 inch. And if I tell you to make a half of a circle, you go like that from top to bottom, either on the outside or the inside, depending on the direction you got to go. Now, the dimension was expressed not as a diameter of the circle, but the distance the channel was. And the channel distance on the flats, where there's a flat line here and here, which I'll draw in a minute or so, is 3/4 of an inch, which tells me this diameter is 3/4. So I've got those. I've done that pretty quickly. Now, in the center of the circle, or in the center of the drawing, there's a 3-inch diameter circle. I'm going to take my large circle template. I'm going to line up the little pinholes that are on here. And again, this one was designed a little bit cockeyed, but that's okay. Now, there's some cutouts, so I'm not going to go quite all the way. I'm going to just leave a little bit of space, because I know I would just be erasing the lines anyways. So that's just a little prior planning on my part. But again, I've drawn this drawing I don't know how many times. Now, I'm not going to use my T-square on this. I'm going to use my circle template. I'm going to put my pencil right at that mark right there at the circle, and again right there, and I'm going to draw the line at the edge of the circle template, up to the 3-inch diameter circle, just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Again, if you place your pencil on the actual mark, then it aligns better. There we go. That's done. Now, there is a 1-inch radius on the corner, which we could use the compass, measuring 1 inch out here. But what can we do? We can do also with the circle templates. So we can actually take our compass, and notice I'm just randomly going from 4-inch to 5-inch. That gives us 1 inch. I encourage using different parts as opposed to always going back to the first, number, 0 and 1. Now, if we wanted to, we could go like this and draw what would be 90 degrees of a circle with our compass. Now, that would be placing the hard point there and drawing the radius. There's our 1-inch radius. Now, I drew it very lightly. What I would rather do, and rather see you do to speed it up so you can get done sooner, is use the 2-inch diameter circle. Because if we have a 1-inch radius, we double it, that's 2-inch diameter. So we line up our marks right here, and you can very faintly see the mark from the compass is right there. And this is a 90-degree section of the circle. So we've done that. So that's still, even though it's a 2-inch diameter, it's a 1-inch radius. Now, make sure your center lines are longer. And as you can see, I flattened this out. Those are corrections for later. Now, I've done this enough, but my expectation is you should have your center lines drawn all the way out there so you can catch them. Now, the other thing is, if you can get away with 2 pretty easily also. See, like right here, this one, and this one, those center lines all match where the dot is. Again, we're going to do 1/4 of our circle, or 90 degrees. So if I tell you do it 90 degrees, that's actually what I'm meaning, is to just do a 1/4 circle. Now this one, I've caught these 2. Now I really have to eye this one up. There we go. Now, Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to use my T-square. In theory, the T-squared should make it perfect every time, but sometimes it's off just slightly, and then the line jumps and it makes a different spot. So I connected the ends of the circle there. I'm going to use the small one so it's not bending too much when it hits me. I'm going to go there. Then I'm going to go from the end of this. And again, it's where the center line is, not where the circle bends around necessarily. Oops, I missed it. So it's nice and light. I'm probably okay over there. Go here. Go there. There we go. Done. Now we're here. There's our object lines. Now, our last part is we have to construct a 3/8 high box, like a notch, a cutout for a part to fit in. Now, realistically, I probably should have done this before, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to just make a mark here and there. Now that's going to have to be erased later on. But now I can see where my 3/8 has got to be. And 3/8 is 6 spaces on the ruler. So I'm going to go up 3/8. And I'm going to go down 3/8. 1, 2, 3, right there. Then I'm going to use my T-square to go across. Across. Now, the distance is 3/4 of an inch, which half of 3/4 of an inch would be 3/8. Again, cutting a fraction in half, if you have 3/4 of an inch, if you want to cut it in half, you keep the top number the same, double the bottom. So say top would be 3, doubling 4 would be 8, so 3/8. So I'm going to go with 3/8, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to set it up there, and then 3/4 is right there. So 3/4 is there, 0 is there. And I'm only going to measure it one time, because now I'm going to use my triangle, and I'm going to line up here. I'm going to draw my line here, and I'm going to draw my line there. Same thing, I'm going to find the point, slide up to it, go here, and then I'm going to go here, and that's our cutout slot. Now all we got to do at this point is get rid of all the extra marks. Add in maybe spots that are missing. Draw our center lines, and remember our center lines are very important to maintain the integrity of the drawing. Now I've got a couple of 3-inch marks right here that I need to pull up to and get, so that I fill that gap right there, and I fill that, oops, the thing jumped slightly on me. Let me get rid of that and start over. Again, erasing. Try not to get in the habit of like correcting by just adding more. You're better off taking the time to erase and just redraw the little part there. Now, as you notice, there's some overlaps. Again, an eraser shield is very handy, and I don't have one with me today, so I'm going to use just a straight edge from a triangle. And I'm going to close this corner right here. Notice I'm not free-handing it. try to get rid of that little tail sticking out there, so I'm going to cover up the line I want to keep. And I'm going to do the same here. Notice all I'm doing is just isolating that right there. Done. Now, for the most part, this drawing looks pretty good. That's how you construct this drawing. If you're good at doing dimensions and you're good at doing center lines and borders and good dark object lines, you should be able to do this again in one period, because right now I'm into about 15 minutes or so with this, and you know, certainly going over again and putting all the dimensions on might take me another 15 minutes or so. Get the border and title block all darkened in. Remember your object lines when you're drawing your object lines. My preference is, of course, to use a pencil like this that's slightly dull. Go down and back. And then for your border lines, my recommendation is to go down and back a total of 4 times. And you can do it with your T-square. Try to avoid making double lines, and make sure you rotate your pencil a little bit. That keeps it from developing a flat spot and making it like a paintbrush. I'm going to go one more time. There's a nice dark border line. See how consistent it is? Don't sketch. Don't be going back and forth. Use your eraser shield to erase little things like these to get rid of them. Your center lines, they should end about 1/4 of an inch away, so you want to get rid of these long lines here. And consistency is the most important thing. So you would extend this out the same as that, extend them out. These, they can be erased back to there, but you may want to use them as dimension lines. So there's a lot of little cleanup things that make your grade higher. But there's the key plate. That's roughed in. It's a relatively simple drawing, and as you saw, it was pretty much a circle template drawing where it just does everything that using the circle template. So enjoy, get good grades. Take care.